All right, guys, today we're talking about the iPhone 15. This is Apple's biggest upgrade for the base iPhones that we've seen in a very long time. I do have the black iPhone 15 here. We're going to talk about who I think this is for and if this is a good upgrade, even if you're coming from, say, the iPhone 14 from last year. So, first, if you're new to the channel, guys, hit that like, drop a sub, give me a follow. It will definitely help out the channel, and I welcome you all here if you are new. But let's talk about the iPhone 15, 15 Plus as well. We could talk about a little bit because they are very similar, a few key differences. But the 15, again, I did say this was Apple's biggest upgrade and refresh for a long time. And in the past, I always thought that we were missing out on some things and that it was kind of not worth it to go with the iPhone base lineup of models unless you just couldn't afford it, right? Sometimes money is an issue and we just can't afford what we really want to get. So we have to settle. This year, I don't think we're settling at all. In fact, I think the 15 and the 15 Plus specifically are better options than what we get on the Pro phones. And even if you have a Pro model from last year, it might be worth an upgrade to the 15 or the 15 Plus. But for this video, we'll talk more about the 15. So 6.1-inch display on here, the same as the 15 Pro. You do get the bigger displays on the Plus and the Pro Max, but for this device here, 6.1-inch display. The build quality on here, it might look the same as last year, but you're going to notice a big difference once you hold this device. The rounded edges on here with that matte finish, the infused color on the back, so the aluminum build with the glass, and with those new rounded corners, very subtle rounded corner, but it makes a huge difference when holding this device compared to what we had on the 12 Pro Max, the 13 Pro, and the 14s from last year. Still kind of looks the same, but in the hand, it's very different. And because these are built out of aluminum and glass, they are very lightweight. Now, the infused color is very light, right? Maybe some of you might want a little more saturation. In my opinion, the go-to color this year would be this black finish right here because all of the other colors are very muted and basically look white. Might be a little shade of blue or a little shade of green or a little shade of yellow or pink, but it is basically a white phone. It's still a nice phone. Now, one thing about this new color, new design, and new build on here, it is almost impossible to get fingerprints on this device, and that's a big deal for me. In the past, every iPhone was a fingerprint magnet. This year, it's just a nice finish on here. It's just, you can't leave a fingerprint even if you tried. I love what they did here. I just wish some of the colors were a little more saturated. So, but in my opinion, I like the black color. I think the black is the way to go this year. Let me know what you think, what color you got, what color you want, or what color you think is the best. So build quality is fantastic on here. And this is, entry-level iPhone we're talking. And when I say entry-level, again, I'm not talking about you're missing out on something, at least not this year. You can get into and get one of the best iPhones available, bang for buck, with just the iPhone 15. Now, the size, of course, 6.1-inch display. So if you want to use this device with one hand, you are going to be able to do that. This will allow you just to pull it out, use it with one hand, and go on about your business. You don't have to worry about using just two hands like I do on the Plus. And I don't have small hands, but on the Plus or the Pro Max, I need to use two hands most of the time. Now, again, with this build, you will need a case on here. It is all just incredibly slippery. I already dropped my 15 Plus. I showed it off in a previous video the other day, and I already chipped the corners of my 15 Plus because I did not have a case on it at the time. So some of the key upgrades now, we do have Dynamic Island on here, and it is a nice change, a nice upgrade from the notch. The notch is finally no more, and I will not miss the notch. I was tired of it. It became an eyesore. Dynamic Island across the lineup now. We have it on every single phone, and that is why, and one of the reasons, at least looking at this device from the front, it's going to be very hard to tell that this isn't the best iPhone, right? Same size as the Pro, dynamic island. The actual display on here is very bright, very clean. It is the OLED display. It also up to in HDR at least 2000 nits of brightness, which is incredibly bright. I don't have any problems using this device in direct sunlight. It's just a very nice display on here. The colors are crisp and clean. Now, again, 60 hertz on the 15 here. But again, I talked about this in one video already with the 15 Plus. You're only going to really notice the difference between 60 and 120 hertz if you just keep scrolling through, say, Twitter or Instagram. But how many of us just continually scroll through the apps? No one. You scroll a little bit, you stop at something, you read it, you look at a picture, whatever it may be, and then you scroll again. So it's not the same thing. It's just what I can show you here in the video. You can see the difference if I do it side by side here between 120 and 60, but in real life scenarios and real life cases, you don't really notice a difference. And to be quite honest, the only people that are really complaining about 120 hertz are the 1% of tech YouTube, not just creators, but those of you watching the video that are into tech just like I am. But 60 hertz on an iPhone has always been smooth. Should it have been 90 hertz at least on these devices? Yes, they are still $799 and $899 for the Plus, respectively. So do I think they should have had at least 90 hertz? Yes, but that is Apple separating themselves from the Pro lineup. I understand it sucks, but I also understand why they did it. Now, another upgrade and another great thing about this device is the battery life. The battery life on here is amazing. It is better than when you get on the Pro, and that is basically because of the 60 hertz and the 120 hertz refresh rate. We are getting more battery out of this device than we are on the Pro. The 15 Plus is the battery king, and then the Pro Max, and then this comes right behind that, followed by the Pro. This does have better battery life, though, than last year's models, so it is an improvement. The A16 Bionic on here is a beast, and because of that, we get some great performance, just like on all of the new iPhones, basically. Now, if you turn this device over, that's where you're going to notice that is not the Pro model. You don't have the 3 lenses. You only have the 2. You're missing out on the telephoto, but what we can do on here, we do get the wide and the ultra wide, but we also do get a digital zoom of 2, so a 2x digital zoom, which is good because we are getting a 48 megapixel camera on here, the same camera that we had on the Pro models from last year. So when you do go in and use digital zoom at 2 times, you're not really losing anything because of those extra megapixels that we have on this camera. The camera and the images on here are very sharp. There's a ton of videos already by other YouTubers comparing this to the Pro models of last year, and the images on the 15 and the 15 Plus look crispier than what we had last year on the regular Pro Max, well, on the Pro Max from the 14 and the 14 Pro. So just keep that in mind. You are not losing anything if you're worried about camera quality and video quality on these devices. They are very, very good, very clean, very sharp, and you get some great images out of these devices. So who is this for, right? If you can't afford the Pro Max, and basically I would stay away from those for now, right? Don't get the Pro Max or the Pro models yet this year. 1, shipping is already about a month out, and 2, they're having overheating issues. You're not getting the overheating issues on this phone here or the 15 Plus. So if I had to recommend a device for you to upgrade from, if you're coming from an older iPhone, right now I am recommending the regular 15 if you have a smaller budget, or if you just have smaller hands, or if you just like a smaller form factor, the 15 is the way to go. And if you want something bigger, then of course it's big brother, the 15 Plus. Basically the same devices. 15 Plus has a bigger display, a better battery, but everything else is basically the same. So is it a solid upgrade in the Apple lineup? Absolutely. The 15 here is an easy recommendation. And those people out there complaining about Apple I bought these phones with my own money. Nobody is sponsoring this video. Nobody is paying me to say anything. And I review all types of phones. My daily driver is actually an Android device. My second SIM is in these iPhones, but they are a very good step up from last year's models of iPhones. And I mean, look, if you're coming from an iPhone 13, 13 Pro Max, it's an easy yes to upgrade. Absolutely. The only phones that I probably would not upgrade are maybe the 14 Pro and the 14 Pro Max. I would leave those alone. But if you're coming from the 14 Plus and the 14, in my opinion, it's still worth the upgrade. But let me know what you guys think. The iPhone 14, I said it again. It's not the 14. The iPhone 15 in black. What color do you guys like best? I like this color, the black. It's fire. That's it. I'll be back soon. Peace.